Greetings, everybody. My name is Michael Lee. I am a professor in the Department of Communication. I am the chair of graduate studies in the Department of Communication, and it's also my privilege to teach this course, which is Communication 510. Now, the official course title on the books is really a survey of communication theory, but we're not going to approach it that way. Our discipline is a discipline that features lots and lots of different scholars studying lots and lots of different questions. Sections of the discipline where I come from focus on political communication. Some people focus on message design. Those people are often called rhetoricians, stemming from the ancient art of rhetoric, which we're going to talk about in one of our first lectures. There are folks who are studying interpersonal relationships, the role of grief and how people express grief, the role of guilt and how people express guilt. People who study organizations and organizational change, people who study marketing and public relations, people who study all sorts of different questions, from scientific and technical communication to big, broad political questions. It's too much, to put a fine point on it, it's too much for a 6-week course, a 7-week course, even 2 courses over normal 16-week semesters. Your program that you're entering really covers 4 different areas. You have modules in each of these areas. The basic foundations of the discipline is number 1. Then you cover 2 courses on leadership, 2 courses on media, 2 courses on strategic communication. So when I was designing this course, Communication 510, about communication theory, I tried to ask myself, what is the one topic that cuts across all of these areas? It's foundational to the history and practice of the discipline. That's important to the practice of the discipline, as many of you will be working as communication professionals in the future. What has both interesting power to explain our field, but also has use value across all these different sections and to you going forward, having a practically oriented degree. And that topic is persuasion. So Communication 510, the way that we will define it, will focus exclusively on the social science, the history, and practice of persuasion. Along the way, we will be talking about, like I said, the social scientific theories, several different theories of how one person persuades another person, how one person persuades a group of people. We will focus on famous instances and case studies of persuasion. You'll write a paper analyzing one of those case studies of your choosing, and that will be our purview. We're going to start when the discipline really started, which is 2,000, 2,500 years ago in ancient Greece, when the first modern democracies were born, and there became a market for public speech, and so people who were better at speaking in public became, in a sense, more able to achieve their ends, were able to move the masses, and so persuasion became a very codified kind of science and art form in ancient Greece, and so theories of persuasion really started there. But then the bulk of this course will take place in the 20th, 21st century, where we're talking about communication and psychology scholars and some political scientists trying to figure out how individual messages move people. I want to get you to buy a car from me, for instance, and what are the tactics that would be persuasive and unpersuasive. I, as a politician, would like to move the masses, or I, as a company, would like to get a lot of people to buy my brand new toothpaste. And what are the kinds of tactics and persuasive strategies that work and don't work in those contexts? Along the way, we'll be covering several different bedfellows that attend to but aren't necessarily persuasion. These are terms like some more subtle forms of influence, more subtle forms of propaganda, more subtle forms of motivation, even more subtle forms of manipulation, and at the worst end of it, brainwashing. And we will find the difficulty of trying to subdivide between persuasion and all of those different categories, even education, and along the way, brainwashing. So, in the end, we will cover persuasion, and you will have 3 basic groups of assignments along the way. The course ends on the 5th of October. You'll take a final in the 7th of October. So between now and then, here's what you can expect. Every week, roughly every Sunday or Monday, I will release a schedule. That schedule will have all the readings and lectures and 1 written assignment that you will need for that particular week. So every week you can expect a schedule from me, and that schedule will have everything you need to do for that week. But over the course of the entire semester, what you'll need to look out for is, number 1, 5 weekly writing assignments. These are worth 30% of your grade, so each of them is worth 60 points or so. These are due the first 5 Fridays of the semester. Those prompts will be laid out in the schedule, and then on Oaks, where you'll be accessing all these materials. Number 2, you will write an analytical case study applying 1 theory of persuasion that we cover over the next 6 weeks to 1 case study of your choosing, and I'll release a big assignment handout on that covering all the various nuts and bolts. That'll be due the last formal day of class, which is October the 5th. And then finally, you will take a cumulative test, a multiple choice test on October the 7th. You'll be able to take that test at any point on October the 7th, but just make sure that you have a 2-hour window blocked off at some point on October the 7th because you won't be able to start and stop the exam. It will be an open note exam, but we're going to cover a lot between now and then, so I recommend you keep and update a kind of rolling study guide as you go through. And I'll talk a little bit about how to prepare for that exam between now and then, of course. In any case, I really look forward to talking with everybody about persuasion this semester, and as always, feel free to email me any questions, set up a meeting with me where we can talk in real time, because I know this is an asynchronous course, but I hope to have as much contact with folks as you want. In any case, feel free to email me, and I look forward to working with everybody. Thanks.